gentlemen.
Hi.
So the
You have to talk to me over here.
Guys, Carter, you want to sit over here?
Yep. I'll hang tight.
Are we done?
Be just a second. I need to talk to Mark about this.
Okay. Why is Mark talking to the police at all?
Why are you recording?
Because the police are here? I'm not sorry. They're trained to shoot first and ask questions later. Society gives them carte blanche.
Oh, are you gone?
Yeah.
Okay. You're gonna put your
Here?
Yeah.
I've never done these ones, but no, that's what my problem is. That's why I'm here this morning. I went to all the marketplaces and they're all down.
Yeah.
No. I usually just drop it in the box, but I've never done these ones, so I was like, I don't even know how to do these ones. Okay, all right, thank you. Yes, have a good day, guys.
Alright, so we talked to the manager. He wants you to leave the building. He's not going to trespass you or anything. But he did tell you if you come back, he would immediately trespass you. So he's giving you an option.
Well, Jamestown, you might want to call a superior immediately because Jamestown versus Bernita gives me the right to be in a public place and to record anywhere. Katz versus the U.S. says there's no age restriction on filming and anything that's visible in a public area is visible. And I'm going to need a name and a badge number because you're actively violating the law by trying to trespass me from a public area that I have a right to be in. This is the exact same thing as if you tried to arrest Rosa Parks for being on a bus. Or anybody, I mean, the same thing as Jamestown versus Bernita, where people were being arrested for being black in a public library. I kid you not. I was just told to wait because I had a question related to the forms. And by law, I also have a right to use this as an adaptive recording device to go ahead and ask questions about the forms. You're telling me that I'm supposed to be trespassed from a public government agency.
So right now you can record all you want in here, but this is also a business as well, and they have
Well,
every right
no,
to
sir,
tell
it's
you
not a private business. It's a public government agency.
Correct.
There's
You
actually,
can come in here and record. That's perfectly fine.
well, not just record. I'm here to ask for help on official government vouchers, on official government law. I just turned in a form.
Here's what they told us, is that there's a wait list,
Yes.
10 months long.
Yes,
And
sir.
at the top of that
And
wait
I
list,
just
they don't have
applied for government assistance.
any- Melissa, here's the thing, is they want you to leave.
Yes, and by law, you not only can't ask me to leave, but I can basically sue at this point for you even trying. It's well-established case law. Like I said, you need to call your superior right away because you're actively breaking the law by trying to intimidate me from being in a public place. By law, I can't be trespassed,
They're not asking you to be trespassed, Melissa, they're asking you to leave.
and they can't do that.
They can't
And
do
neither
that.
can you.
They can't
What
do
did
that.
your superior say when you called him?
I didn't call my superior.
Well, you need to
Right
do
now.
so. You're trying to intimidate me from accessing a public place in a government service under color of law. I'm going to need a name and a badge number.
Okay, my name is Officer Anthony Hug. My badge number is 429. This is Officer Locke. This is Officer Carter.
Okay. And you're attempting to force me out of a public place under color of law.
Actually, I asked you.
You're asking me to leave. You just
And they want you to leave.
the phrasing you used was that I was quote unquote going to have to leave.
Okay. Well, maybe I did say that. Maybe I'm just misspeaking here, but they do want you to leave. It's time for you to go.
Yes, you just used that phrase, and like Jamestown versus Bonita says, you can't trespass me for accessing a public place. The camera is a neutral device. Let me go ahead and see if I can recall that case law.
I don't know the case that you're talking about, but I'm guessing that they're talking about based on protected characteristics, which is sex, race, religion, sexual orientation, national origin. And that's not what they're doing here.
No, it isn't based on protected characteristics. It's based on the universal right for public to access government agencies.
If you're causing a disturbance here.
I'm not. Your presence is causing a disturbance.
Okay, Melissa, so this is what
The camera is a neutral device. The U.S. Supreme
Melissa
Court ruled
Ferris,
it can't
please let me
be.
talk, okay? So what they said was that you were recording people and they were coming in. They said that that's a violation of their confidentiality agreement because they have to be confidential because they're working for the federal government. And that's what the real issue is.
No, actually it isn't, because once again we're going back to Jamestown versus Bonita. They tried to say that to Charles Tuttle and a number of other people, and they've been overruled. The case law applies. Like I said, you need to call your superior officer because you're actively breaking the law by trying to encourage me to leave. You should have left immediately upon arrival when you saw me.
So if it's a public building, why can't I be here as well?
Well, you can be here, but you can't ask me to leave, and you can't, under color of law, threaten me.
Okay, how did I threaten you?
You're telling me that I quote unquote have to leave, and if I come back, I'll quote unquote be trespassed.
That's what they're saying.
Oh, okay.
So they're trying to tell me that accessing a government service will quote unquote result in me being trespassed.
If you have a complaint, you can go talk to Lieutenant Hauger on the Minot Police Department. I believe you talked to him before, right?
I don't just have a complaint with him. You haven't left yet, and you're still threatening me.
Well, we're here to. They want you to leave right now.
And you didn't call a superior officer like I requested.
Yeah, you should be if we Lieutenant Hauger.
I'll ask, but the sergeant that we have working today is busy.
So then I assume you'd have to leave if it's my lawful right to be here.
I have an appointment with
Is there a supervisor currently working the road?
Mary Pittman.
Oh, that's gonna be with Tammy Mack.
Tim.
Yes, may I see the paperwork that we provided for you to fill out?
No one's answering when I asked if there's a supervisor working, because the only supervisor we have today is on he's doing a meeting he can't do.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Okay, no, I'll let you do it. Sorry.
No, you can't come and you know what I'm doing.
Miss Ferris is requesting one.
Did he authorize you to interfere with me accessing a public area for a public service?
I wonder if it's Tammy in there, just 1 second, okay? I'm gonna go
Sure.
check.
Sorry, can you 10-9 that?
I'll be right back.
Okay.
Timur. He said that I speak on the request that I am speaking for him, and that he said that if you want to go talk to him, you can talk to him at the Minot Police Department. Like I said, he's in a meeting right now. He can't leave. He's our only supervisor working today.
Okay, so you're speaking for him that I'm supposed to be denied a public service and access to a public area under government funding?
They want you to leave. It's time for you to leave.
Who are they? Your supervisor or Mark?
I don't know what his name is. People that work here at Minot Housing Authority.
Are quote unquote telling me to leave in
Yes.
direct violation of federal law and state.
Sure.
Maybe she's not with someone.
Go to room 2.
Yes, and she'll meet you there as soon as she's done with her time.
Thank
Okay?
you.
So Melissa, why don't you pack your stuff and take off, okay?
And you're trying to tell me that I can't access the public area to go ahead and request public services again.
I don't think they have anything more for you.
So in other words, I'm going to be denied my housing voucher based on that?
No, they said that there's a wait list that's about 9 months right now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I had additional questions.
Okay. They want you to leave, Melissa.
Instead of asking questions pertinent to my voucher.
They want you to leave.
Well, sir, what you're doing right now is a direct violation of both state and federal law.
They want you to leave, Melissa.
Yes, sir, and you're telling me that you're unwilling to respect both state and federal law.
They want you to leave, Melissa.
Listen, Officer Hugger. He's trying to tell you what's going on.
Yes, sir. You're going to ignore state and federal
But-
law to do what you want to do, even though your police
But they would
chief
like-
just had to resign because he was openly breaking the law due to inconsistent discipline, sexual harassment, and a number of other things.
Did you read the report, Melissa? Because it actually said none of those things were founded.
Actually, the attorney firm that they paid $100,000 to whitewash on was not a federal agency.
You're right, it wasn't a federal agency. It was
They're
the
trying to
number
avoid a
record.
lawsuit.
I think if they were trying to ignore or avoid a lawsuit, they would have kept him on, right? That would have made the most sense because he has the potential to sue now.
He, in theory, does. In practice.
So why would they keep him on? Why wouldn't they keep him
I
on
know
if
you
they're
had a
trying to avoid
piece
a
of
lawsuit?
paper for her.
Well,
Does
let me
that
put it
mean
this
all that
way:
business
people are
cannot
supposed
be
to have.
done? Okay. Okay, and all that business is.
And I met with Mark. Actually, you told me to wait. I had a question. You instructed me to wait. You're on camera.
What I said.
You're on camera. You
I
did
don't
tell
wanna
me
be
to
on
wait.
camera. I said there was a 9 months to 12 months waiting list at
Uh-huh.
this time.
And you told
And
me
you
to wait
asked
as
me
far as
why-
regards the questions.
You said, oh, why is Mark talking to the police officers? And it's not for me to tell you. It was for them to tell you. That's it. I'm done.
No, you
Okay,
also
so
said. Yeah, I
she's
also
good.
had another question pertaining to.
Okay.
I also had
She's
another
doing
question
business.
pertaining
This
to
is-
federal
this is a
things.
this is a public area, but it's a public area of business. Now that there is no legal business being done here, okay, your legal right to be here is
Is
stripped
still
away.
intact.
No, for the matter of that, if you come here to conduct.
There's
business-
additional forms.
Well, no, they said that they're done. Just the same as.
No,
if you
they
came
said
to
that
the
was
police
done with
station-
specific form.
Hold on. If you came to the police station and you wanted to get a copy of a report, file a report, talk to an officer, talk to a supervisor.
Sir, you did not give me your name or badge number.
My name is Officer Ron Carter.
Mm-hmm.
Last name Carter. Badge number of 451. City employee number of 8228. Okay, so there is a difference in the matter of if there's a city ordinance for a park between, let's say, 10 p.m. to
Mm-hmm.
6 a.m. And that's a
It's
city
11 to
ordinance.
6.
Is it 11 to 6?
11 to
Okay.
6.
Okay. And then there's an actual law in state. That's a public area. You have a right to access it, but then
During
there's a law.
hours.
Okay. Now, we're not dealing with a law here. We're dealing with legal business. So, for the example I gave, is if you were going
Mm-hmm. You're
to the police
preventing me
station-
from filling out any additional forms
No,
or asking any
I
additional
brought
questions.
I brought her up to see if business
Yeah,
was concluded.
no.
I asked a question. The employee spoke with you without
And
me
took
intervening.
off before I could. Actually, you did interfere. I was going to ask, was that the only thing here? Because we've got half a dozen other
Well, if you
places that I
explain
can.
how I interfered when she walked away on the other side of a plate of glass, I'd be all ears on that. But the fact is, if you're in an area where there is public access
Mm-hmm.
and all legal business is concluded at that point, then you have no reason to be here.
You
all right?
you're assuming.
Because this office is not for hanging out at.
So basically, you're
all day.
saying that she said that all legal business is concluded. There's no other forms or questions that I am.
For today. She said that you're on a wait list, that they need to process it through the entire bureaucratic
So
process.
I'm not allowed to apply for any of the other housing places. I'm not allowed to ask questions or to look at their forms.
You possibly could, but due to the fact that it is causing a disturbance, that the police did wind up
No,
having to get
by
called out.
law, the camera is
Okay.
considered
What-
neutral. It's
did I
not
mention
causing a
anything about the
disturbance.
camera?
You said
Have I
that I
mentioned
was
any-
quote unquote causing a disturbance by my
Did I
presence.
mention anything about the camera?
Your fellow officers did, and they're on record.
Okay, and it's me and you talking right now, right? Did I mention anything about the camera? I fully support your
Mm-hmm. You
right
said
to
that I
record.
was quote unquote causing a disturbance.
Okay, being
Ha-
argumentative. Being argumentative with the staff here is causing a disturbance. In no way is the camera even involved in
Sir,
that.
define argumentative, because remember, the whole point of a court case is to argue.
She told you what the process was, that there is a wait list. and then
Pertaining
she was done.
specifically to the Section 8 voucher, but not to the other housing places.
Okay.
Go back and ask
she
it
said
whether or
that-
not she's telling me that I can't apply for
She
any of
said
the other
that she was
places,
finished
including
speaking
Milton
to you.
Towers.
Anything, any
She,
continual-
because she didn't want to be recorded, but by law, she can't finish speaking to me as far as it goes as a public employee about other public services just because she doesn't want to be recorded.
Can you cite the civil code on that one for me? Because I'm unfamiliar.
Can you
with that.
cite the civil code that says that it's not? Seriously, you might want to go ahead and have a look
Well-
at that code because
Well, okay, you said, hey, it's a matter of dealing with judicial stuff and argument. You just gave
Case
me
law.
something that's a fallacy and illogical.
No, it
saying,
isn't.
Can I argue where it's not? Can you find in the
Sir, you
NDCC
can't
where
arrest,
the
you
act
can't
of
make up law.
robbery-
You are not a legislator and you're not a judge.
I'm not. I'm an enforcer of the law.
Okay, and you
Okay,
can't trespass
granted.
a person for accessing public property for public
And
cause.
who here is talking about trespass?
You guys mentioned that when you first came
Saying
in
that
here.
They do not want to trespass you.
Okay.
Okay.
So-
now we're on a double negative at that point, because
You-
I
but
don't know
you're
if it's a
trying to
matter of
tell me to
translation.
leave prematurely
I'm
without
telling you that if all legal business is conducted and you
and all
continue
legal
to cause a
business is not
disturbance-
conducted. I just gave
Okay.
you more business.
Okay.
Go back
Okay,
and
don't-
ask her if anything has changed about apartment availability or paperwork, because by law I have a right to ask those questions too.
And here's the thing. Like I said, I'm not familiar with the civil code that says that they must conduct business with you. Okay. So if you, this is all on camera, correct? Mm-hmm. The whole
But
entire-
you're
the whole
not
entire thing?
familiar with anything that says that you have any right to interfere with it. And remember, unless
Hold
you
on,
can
hold on,
point
hold on.
specifically point to
Then
a
you've
breach
got
of law.
all the evidence for a civil case against the
I shouldn't
higher
have to
authority.
sue to access a government agency.
Okay, I agree. But if they're done with it and you feel that you've been wronged, if you
Well,
feel
it's
that
not
we've
just that
wronged you,
it's-
then include us in the lawsuit. Okay, and we take it to court and we sort it all out with all the legal heads, people that are smarter than both me, you, or me or you combined. Okay, with that get paid to argue it out in court. Okay, we can sit on opposite ends of the table. We can go to depositions. We can do all that and have everything sorted out. And in the end, we can become more knowledgeable on exactly what the entirety of this is, if we find out that they're in the wrong or that they do have a right to. Okay, but the fact is,
So basically, I have to sue to find out that there was a place that was available with a shorter waiting list, or that there might have been a voucher at another county, because I was also asking questions for my sister and for the general public.
no, your lawsuit would be the argument that they failed to provide those services after they said that they were done conducting with you. Okay, that's like if you called me for help, I showed up and I waved at you, and you're falling in your front yard and your legs hurt. I just wave at you and walk away. You'd have grounds for a lawsuit because I'm obligated to come and help you. Call an ambulance, maybe if your leg's not busted, get you up, help you up. But if I just waved at you and walked away, that'd be a dereliction of my duty, correct? So you'd have grounds to sue at that point.
That's not related to this, so I'm not
Oh,
going
it's
to
100%
discuss
related
it.
to this because we're talking about dereliction of duty, correct?
No, we're not, because you can't point to any statute that says you're supposed to remove or arrest or tamper with a person's right to access a public area, especially according to law. And the camera's been ruled a neutral device, so it can't be called a disturbance in of itself, and a person cannot be accused of loitering by recording in public. These have all either reached the Supreme Court directly or the appeals courts.
The problem that we're at, did you see the lady that came in to talk while me and you were standing out here? She had a check in her hand. She talked with the person at the counter and then left. Mm-hmm. Did you see how uncomfortable she was?
It doesn't
Or
matter.
it does matter because if I go and ask her,
Well, if
if
she was
feels-
uncomfortable
if she
because I was
hold on,
Native
hold on.
American or black.
Okay, and I don't know where race comes into this whatsoever.
Well, sir, you're trying to say that somebody being uncomfortable with me exercising a First
No.
Amendment right and liberty is somehow supposed to interfere with my accessing that liberty.
But
People
under
are
state law,
uncomfortable
municipal
with
law,
females
if I went
wearing
outside
pants
asked
and
her
driving.
If she felt disturbed to the point to where she couldn't conduct her business, and she said yes, and she'd be willing to provide witness testimony to
Mm-hmm.
it, then there would actually be a lawful arrest at that point because that's a private citizen feeling
So basically,
that your
if
conduct
you
is
felt that an
disorderly.
African American had no right to access this, you'd go up and try to get people to say that they felt uncomfortable with you doing
Quick
that.
question: Why is race, ethnicity, any immutable?
Because there's such a robust body of case law, but it's been ruled for anybody of any color, in any stripe, that they cannot, you can't go around trying to trying to instigate a complaint or an incident.
And I'm
So you
talking.
think we're doing this because you're white?
I think you're doing this because you don't like me recording in public and you don't like my liberties. You're trying to run me out of town like you've been for 11 years and it's not succeeding. And yes, I don't think it helped any that I applauded when your crooked chief got fired.
Okay. We're here because the workers, the employees, They said you were recording and causing disturbance for other people that come in. to
You
fill
realize
paperwork.
you're just
But-
sinking yourself deeper. You have no
But-
other thing than the fact that I'm recording in public.
Melissa, you're loud, you're argumentative. That's why they want you to leave. They said there's also issues with confidentiality here. I don't know what their confidentiality stuff is.
Well,
implies.
that's one of
but-
the other court rulings. It's incumbent on them to
Melissa,
create the
Melissa,
privacy.
let me talk. You're just interrupting me, okay? So that's what they said. That is one of the issues as well. Okay? Not saying you can't record. I'm just saying that they want you to leave now.
Well, it just gave you proofs that business is not concluded, that I have a legal right to access it, and you're
Their
interfering
business
with me under
you is
color of
concluded.
law.
Your business with them might not be concluded, but their business with you is.
So, in other words, they're refusing me service based on me accessing the place with the camera.
I think they're refusing you service because they're disorderly.
Does she
you being
have
disorderly in the
her
lobby.
Wednesday open?
Sir, the North Dakota disorderly conduct statute specifically says that you can't charge a person with disorderly conduct if they're if they're executing a constitutionally protected right.
Okay. So
That will be
they
fine.
disorderly conduct prevents people from being.
I'm sorry, what'd you say,
Uh,
ma'am?
they
It's
reason-
not carte
hold
blanche.
on,
You can't
hold on,
just accuse
hold on.
somebody of disorderly conduct because they're doing something you don't personally approve of.
They said
Your hand's
disorderly-
awfully close to me.
You're just holding the camera like I haven't moved. I mean, actually.
Yeah, I
just
have to
moved a little
angle
bit.
it up because I'm so much smaller than you.
So, North Dakota disorderly conduct statute also prevents people, or also says that people can't be alarmed, harassed, or annoyed by your conduct, right?
If they're engaged, if a person's engaging in protected activity or protected speech, that
Right.
statute doesn't apply.
Right, but if you're being loud and argumentative with staff, that could be alarming, harassing, or annoying to other customers, right?
You
It
didn't
could be.
witness any of that. I
Yeah,
was
I'm not
sitting
making an
there.
arrest. I'm not making an arrest, so I don't need to witness it. These are just the accusations that they're making. This is the reason that they want you to leave.
Well, number one, I wasn't doing that. Number two, I just provided plenty of legitimate reasons for me being here.
Okay. But their business with you is concluded.
In
They
other
no
words,
longer-
they're saying that they're refusing me service based on a constitutional right, and they're trying to force me off of public taxpayer-paid property, which technically, by law, is all our property.
Do you pay taxes?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I mean, I understand that the way you feel there, but they don't
Not
have to
just
conduct-
feel. These are facts of life. We are
Then
forced
sue
to
us.
pay these taxes.
Sue us, Melissa.
So
That's an option
basically,
you got
you're
right now.
saying that you're going to refuse to allow me to exercise my U.S. constitutionally protected rights based on, unless I can afford to sue you.
But we're here to kindly ask you.
There's Sergeant Noel if you'd like to talk to him.
Have a great day.
He has concluded with his meeting.
I'll go talk to one of the employees.
I'm just curious.
Excuse me. You're telling them that they represent you by trying to force me off of government official
talking to
government
me?
property. They're
I
telling me, Sergeant Ruel.
I didn't say anything to them.
Okay, so you did not contact them via radio.
Them who? These guys?
Yes, these three police officers.
I talked to one of them on the radio, yeah.
Okay, and what did you say?
I told them that I'm not available.
That's all?
And then I said they can speak on my behalf, and then now I am available.
Okay, so
That's a
you're
summarization.
basically telling me you're basically telling them that they can force me off of taxpayer
No.
property for official purposes.
You are making stuff wildly out of what I said because I told you what I said. That other stuff you made up. I'll be back.
Where you living at now, Melissa?
That's none of your business.
We're just asking.
I find out you contacted the property management, you better believe there's going to be a lawsuit.
Yeah,
As a
I'm not-
matter of fact, I'm probably going to be contacting the Justice Department about this stuff. You guys are not supposed to be using your badge for this type of thing, and you know it. stuff I'd like to point out. There's forms for housing up behind this lady's desk here. There's also advertisements for other places, and since I do tend to hand out information and try to get the public aware of various other things, these are all legitimate questions that I'd be exercising my constitutional rights to go ahead and gather.
Yeah, I've been here with her because I translate everything, and I'm her. Yeah. What is that taking? Yeah. 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 This is her name and this is the last name.
There's also still this information here. As we know, case law has accumulated based on that. These are all things I legally have a right to ask questions to.
Okay. Yeah.
I'll let her know.
Okay.
That you're here.
Yeah, but my name should be there too, right?
Well, she has
She
that
has
on
that,
her
okay.
paperwork in her folder.
Okay.
You do know we live in a one-party consent state.
Yep.
And that this, the courts have ruled over and over again, from Turner versus Driver, Glicky versus Cuniff. There's just this huge body of case law. Some of it back to the 1967 was finally when the big court ruled on that one, to stuff that's currently right now. They've used disorderly conduct and loitering laws against minorities for a long time, and because of it, there's had to be constant rulings on it about our rights to be in public.
She's still with her client, so as soon as she comes out, I'll let her
So,
know.
what they were talking about is that there's confidentiality rules here.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
Right.
But they don't exist in the lobby, which is where you're trying to force me out. None of this information and the stuff that's handouts for the public involves confidentiality. And if there is confidentiality, the court's already ruled on it, that they have to create, I mean, if there's an expectation of privacy, they have to create it. Ejecting a person from a public lobby doesn't count as that. Somebody's already thought of that one. I'm just going to go ahead and bring up the Zoom because they're currently in Mark's office trying to talk to him. Things to keep in mind. By law, I have a right to be here. It doesn't matter about confidentiality or whatever else. It's their job to go ahead and to create that expectation of privacy. Surrey City Hall found that out when they had to get blinds. There's the supervisors, or one of them, and there's one of the cops, excuse me. I am face blind. And for good reason, I need this as an adaptive device. These are our rights and our liberties, and they go so quickly. Other things I'd like to emphasize and point out, there's their security camera on the same confidential information. Many people were upset by the presence of these security cameras. Here's the one in the lobby. I'm going to spin back because of this on full magnification. I'm going to change this out. You can see, though, this is back by their special area where Mark's office is. This is in the area we currently are, and as you can see, they're set up for a panorama view. These are the same people that are trying to say we citizens can't get our own records. Dyslexics like me cannot use the camera for note-taking. I can't use it because of my confusion with names and faces or any of the rest of the stuff. I don't like being lied to or gaslit. And you can tell by the volume of my voice right here, I'm not excessively loud either. And you can see where that person isn't excessively alarmed. I'm not sorry. We need to go ahead and eliminate stuff like disorderly conduct because we shouldn't have laws in place that say anything a person doesn't like. To try to go ahead and say, oh, we forgot the U.S. Constitution, we don't remember law. If I'm telling you that the law gives me the right, you're obligated to go ahead and look it up before doing anything as serious as interfering with my right to access a public government service. If you want to know why they're so up in arms, I just interviewed a homeless man that got denied Section 8 voucher based on the fact that he had charges pending against him, which violates our due process clause. He did not have a problem with me filming him.
Melissa?
It will be very soon.
Okay. I'll take a look at that.
You touch him, there's going to be problems.
I'm not going to touch him.
You guys are a civil rights lawyer's dream. Oh, by the way, Conan versus State of California basically went to the Supreme Court, so that's federal statute. I do have the right to go ahead and say certain things, and be it the volume I want. He literally was on trial because he bought in a jacket that said, fuck the court.
Yeah, and I am familiar with some of those cases. Like, there's a guy that had some explicit messages written on the back of his truck, and yeah, that wasn't disorderly conduct.
Hey. Good. Here for hearing. Here for hearing.
Oh, okay. Open the door there tomorrow.
Sure. Thanks. Hey.
Hi, how are you?
I think I need to use the bathroom.
Is there a bathroom here?
Yes, through that door and around the corner.
I don't have access to that door.
The staff does, so that's also a legitimate thing. Technically, it's a public bathroom in a public
I would
facility.
guess that it's not public, considering it's behind a locked door. I don't know, though.
You okay, man? It's now spring chicken. Once upon a time, our elderly had the dignity of having homes and housing and not having to go through this stuff. Shouldn't have to hear about how helping these people is socialism or somehow immoral for them to receive help, especially adequate help.
If you want to go to room 3, Tammy will meet with you.
When you get time off, try to watch James Freeman's video where he goes into a public housing lobby like this in Arizona and they start swearing at him. Pretty much tried the same thing and they were able to establish he had a right to be in that lobby. He had a right to go ahead and fill out a Freedom of Information Act and at request and by law they had to take it. Come to think of it, if I remember right, our open records request laws also require that they're required to take that too. So I'm thinking I need to go ahead and fill out an open records request. I've noticed a change in legislation as of late and on the forums, and that was specifically why I wanted to go ahead and stay put. And I'd gone up to the receptionist and she told me to wait here. That's when Mark called you too, was when I started asking questions about the change in legislation regarding our access to vouchers.
Melissa, have you ever tried like just recording, like just doing audio recording? Because I mean, I get what you're doing, and I do, and you say it's weird, some of the issues you got going on, and I understand that. But have you tried maybe doing it like that just because it does make people uncomfortable, and that's why we get calls so much, right?
Well, an audio recorder also doesn't pick up stuff like the forms that are over there, the words, the letters, or the issues with faces that I have.
Okay. That's right, I forgot about the faces stuff. Yeah, and because we get called about you a lot, right? We talk to you all the time.
Well, ignorance of the law is no excuse, especially for public servants and those wearing the badge.
I'm not saying that when we come talk to you that we're not trying to enforce anything, we're just coming to talk to you, right?
That's a form of harassment if you're constantly coming to talk to me. That's
also
part of the reason you didn't come when we were in the DMV, me and the other auditor, or the first time when I flew, first 2 times when I flew solo. Or was it 3? I think it was 3 times I was there before that other auditor showed up. And he had the same statutes. As a matter of fact, Williston's police figured out in a hurry not to touch me because not only was it illegal for them to do so, but a lot of people basically filled their retirement fund for trying. Are you gonna tell me to leave, or do I have the right to stay? I mean, I already have the right to stay via federal law, but are you going to violate federal law?
Here's what I'm gonna say, and I would appreciate if you just let me say it without interrupting me halfway through it, okay? Or anywhere in there, okay? Can we try that, please?
Well, after you give your name and your badge number.
You already know my name. You said it earlier, and you have my badge number already because we've had it multiple times. You written it down. You said my name correctly. You know who I am, Melissa.
Not in this recording.
Well, then you can say it on your own. Anyway.
So how about you go ahead and say it?
Answer, please. What?
How about you go ahead and say it for the recording?
I don't want to say it. You already said it. Okay, so what we can tell, as far as we can tell, it's a publicly funded facility, just like you're saying. Okay, we had a conversation with a gentleman. I don't know his name. We explained to him that basically what you're saying is as long as you're here not interfering with anyone's ability to conduct business, then you're lawfully allowed to be here. I explained the differences to him between what is publicly accessible, such as this lobby, versus publicly owned but not accessible to the public, kind of locked, secure door, businesses, all that stuff. So that I made that distinction to him. He doesn't necessarily agree with it, but he understands where I'm coming from. He also had some concern that if you're going up to someone at the window recording them, they may not like that. Explain that the fact that they don't like it doesn't make it unlawful. You are allowed to be in this place. You can record. The expectation of privacy in this public place is extremely low, and I explained that to him. So, in this particular case, I would say that everything that I've heard you say so far, I would agree with you on. So I'm not disagreeing with you anyway. So as long as you're in here and you're not interfering with someone else's ability to conduct their business that they're here, you're not being violent or anything that I've never seen you be at all of those things that you know,
Thank
then,
you.
Then you're allowed to be here. Okay, I would
Pray to
ask
God
you.
you'd never see me unless I'm in a class where it's expected.
Right. So I guess I would ask for me to you is that if someone does come up here to conduct business and they ask you politely, hey, can you take a couple steps back or something like that, so like, just respect that request from that individual person. Same as you coming here for whatever reason, they're coming here for a reason to try to work with them so you can do what you want and are allowed to do legally, and let them receive the services that they want to get to.
Yes, sir.
So if there's any issues that come up where the employees think, Melissa's causing a problem, we ask them to call us. We can see, is there an issue that now you are required to leave, or can you still stay and we can work through it? So as long as you can honor that ask of mine, just to respect other people's personal requests, then I think we're not going to have any problems and we won't see you again the rest of the day.
Yeah.
Does that sound fair and easy, I think?
Well, as long as personal space isn't like halfway across the room.
Well, and that's what I'm saying, like just decent from human to human, right? Like if I'm coming up here to get assistance and I say, hey, can you take a step back? And you taking steps back, does that really hinder you from doing what you want to do? You know
Well,
what I mean?
if they're at that window and I'm standing here, yeah.
To me, but you know what I mean? If you're at that window and you're at their shoulder, not to say that you would do that, but like
Yeah,
as an
no.
extreme example.
Yeah, no, I can understand
Right.
if they're trying to do that, or if they're
Yeah.
trying to fill out forms and I'm suddenly trying to go ahead and lean my camera
Yep.
in
Yeah,
without their
sure.
permission. I can understand stuff like
I
that,
could
but
too, yeah,
the law does give me technically the right to do that.
I know
but
it does, and that's why I was asking. That's the common courtesy. Absolutely, 100%.
but you're asking, you're not demanding,
Correct, yeah. I'm
and
asking
you're
you,
not
yeah.
threatening me under color of law.
No. See, and that's why when I came in, you started assuming all these things that I said, and I did, and you got to give me some time to figure it out, because I didn't know who funds this building or not. So sometimes appearances aren't what they seem, right? Like, you got to give us some time to figure it out, and cooler heads and calm, we can always figure it out, right?
I appreciate
Right?
that because that's what I wanted and needed. I've had 2 instances so far where that has not been the case, so I'm working on it myself, so that's part of it.
Yep.
That part in that forum as far as due process, literally I'm being called out to sue people and I'm hearing back, well, you're poor and you're just doing this to make money. No, I'm doing this to make a way for other people to the same rights.
Yeah.
A lot of poor people who aren't used to waking up first thing in the morning and can't remember a conversation, this gives them the ability to remember who they've met with and what was said.
Yeah, that makes
A
sense.
dyslexic like me, it's the ability to take notes
Yeah, I
and
get it.
for me to prove that sort of thing. And for that homeless guy I shot in that earlier footage, it's him being denied his right to life even though he hasn't been convicted of anything. I'm not sorry. He's paying in taxes into the system too. He should also be able to benefit.
So, yeah, and you kind of lost me on that tangent, but that's okay. So, but yeah, we're gonna get out of here. Like I said, I think as long as we behave responsibly, like I've seen you in the past, and just kind of them now, they might not agree with it because that's part of where some shared understanding. The reason for you to exercising your constitutionally protected rights are your own, and they don't need explanation, right?
Yes,
and so
sir.
that's basically where we are with that. And he didn't they didn't fully understand how that works. And so they're going to take some stuff on the back end to see with the HUD, is there anything that they can do, maybe in the future, maybe make this a more restricted area. And if that happens, there'll be notices and you'll know. So because, the public places can have rules and they're going to work to see, can they enforce any rules, or is it legal, all that stuff. But for right now, we're just like where we said we were. But if they change the rules, it would apply to everyone, not simply someone who's recording. And that's an important distinction, right? And
Yes,
that's where
sir.
you're coming from. So... Any questions, anything else from us? Because we're kind of busy and there's 4 of us standing here, so
Well,
unless there's anything super important, we got to hit the road.
In other words, you're going to leave me alone to exercise my constitutional
Yeah.
right, me and any individual?
As long as they're not violating any criminal laws, yeah. That's the same as we do all the time.
Yeah, I understand we're not supposed to thank people for just doing their job the way they're expected to, but considering how the bad stuff I have seen, I want to tell you that I've noticed. I appreciate it and thank you.
Well, yeah, you're welcome, and thanks for being reasonable with us and my officers too. So, cool, calm heads usually prevail at the end, right?
It's
All
there.
right. So we're gonna get out here. Give us a call if you need us for any time, okay?
Okay,
All right.
thank you.
Yep. I don't know if there's any.
I,
So yeah, I'll just see if there's any bathrooms or anything in here. But, so you're good.
yeah, no, I have to go through that door to find their bathroom, but
Yeah.
for right now, I'm going to try to rummage through my purse and find
Sure.
my highlighter. There's been a change in policy, which has made this a 2-page form, and I definitely want to ask questions because there are so many people that are charged with so many bogus things.
Yeah.
American Violet was literally written about a woman who had an accusation against her that she was a felony drug dealer.
Yeah, I'm honestly, Melissa, I am so not familiar with housing and how that works. I couldn't even begin to tell you anything on that. So, but good luck to you. Enjoy your day. Give us a call if you have any problems yourself too. Okay.
Okay.
All right, take care.
Thank you.
Yep.
You did promise that I could go ahead and talk to Mark once we were done about this section of the form here, ineligibility due
I
to
didn't promise you
drug-related and
anything.
criminal activity. People are apparently that homeless guy was denied help at this agency because he has pending charges. In other words, not a conviction, even though by law we're supposed to have presumption of innocence. This guy is basically being handed a death sentence.
You were going to talk to Mark. Mark is in the appointment right now.
You said to go and wait as far as me having more further questions on the form.
I told you there was a 9 months to 12 months waiting list. You asked me what.
For housing vouchers, not for questions on the form.
He's in the appointment right now.
Okay. Can I schedule an appointment to ask questions?
He said no earlier.
Okay.
I can ask him again.
Okay. And I'm not going to get any harassment about waiting? This is a scary thing. My property management knows me as a nice church girl that lived in the neighborhood. And the police contacting my property management and landlord to tell him what a bad person I am. That is not only a serious violation of civil rights and the use of the badge, but it's a very common one where somebody's saying they represent law enforcement. Things to keep in mind here. I'm not doing a heinous crime. I'm not trying, or even an ordinance violation. And I'm not trying to steal information. I'm simply gathering it for public awareness. We've had double digits below zero last week. We got the odd day where it's going up to close to either above freezing or close to it. It's going to be in the 20s and the 30s. Last week, the highs didn't go above zero, I think, in at least 1 or 2 days. It is deadly cold out here. The people that are denied housing, that homeless man gave information I already knew, that Project B is no longer open, that there are no shelters for women or children, only one for men. And there's some places that'll give vouchers and other things, but for somebody, a teen who's suddenly put out on the street because the parents done, the Social Security is over and the parents done living off of them, or some other emergency situation, this is a waking nightmare.
He said no appointments.
With anyone for any questions.
No appointments.
Okay, can I have the number of the state or federal supervisor of this office? We keep getting told there's this mythological welfare system that's going to save us all, that all this money is being sucked up for. And yet I keep hearing about billions and trillions going to corporate welfare.
You can call 852-0485 and leave a message for Tom.
You got paper in the printer. Any chance you could grab a piece and write it down for me?
Here you go. You can write it down. 852-0485.
Slow it down.
852-0485.
852-0485 and ask for Tom.
You'll leave him a message.
Tom. And Tom is over this office.
That's what I was told to tell you. And I'm done talking, so if you, I'm done. I have work to do as well.
Okay, and none of that work would involve explaining the availability of any of these for somebody who's not a senior citizen. It looks like you've got 10 different forms and apartments that behind you.
Have a good day.
Things to keep in mind. When Martin Luther King Jr. Day rolls around, or diversity training, we're always showing the newsreels about what these civil rights protests look like, what the Deep South thought and felt about giving people of certain hues their rights. And it's kind of unfair because it didn't occur in just the Deep South, number one. Number two, it's racist to assume that racist is only a certain color or has only a certain agenda, and it's racist to assume that this is actually racist and there's not some other form of bias. Things to keep in mind: they've got government jobs. If they say or do the wrong thing on camera, they're also subject to arrest or serious trouble. Somebody doing a gaffe can get fired, but from the top down. But this is also information the public needs. To a point, I kind of don't blame them, especially as far as it goes protecting other people and privacy and not alarming people. But you can see I'm not trying to scare anyone or force interactions with anyone. I'm simply trying to establish this stuff. I've been forced out of three different places to record right now because of my right to film in public, and because of the fact that I survived that sex trafficking attempt. And yes, I did have to exercise self-defense. I want to hope and pray that I don't have to do it again, that I don't have to fight anywhere outside of a class or a meet. But at the same time, you got to understand, my life and safety depend on my ability to record these situations as they develop. My camera was out of power when Scott Sanders attacked me, and my phone, and he basically took it away. That's the first thing they do, is they seize those phones. It isn't just that it's a crucial 911 panic button. These GPSs serve as a crucial communications device. I want to pray to God the job fair is still up and going. I got to head out there, just like the rest of the poor. I've got to work, but it just seems wrong that only the people that are technically millionaires can have protection under our laws, can have access to resources, or any of the rest. Stuff like what that elderly lady needs. That is so important. We shouldn't have to see people priced out of access to public transportation, to housing, to anything else. I don't want to explain why or how, just that I've got no shortage of single mothers with children in my extended family. And it's a horrendous thing to have these people being pushed or forced out of housing, especially for a child being a child, a healthy one running around screaming, yelling, and mommy saying, I don't want them stoned, I want them healthy. And I'd like to be as nice as possible, because these people are seriously awesome when they want to be, but they can also be quite irritating. When I moved into my last apartment, not including the hotel, when I moved into my last apartment before the hotel, they didn't do the inspection, so I was on the hook for 2 months' rent and a security deposit. And just the act of calling the police technically can be a lawsuit. If I get a civil rights lawyer that runs on a contingent basis, I may have to go ahead and allow him to sue Mark for doing this stuff. And the other people at the DMV, I hate the part though where I'd have to sue. And I won't lie, if I can avoid it, they basically let me continue in my rights. And I just as soon save it for more extreme situations. And I won't lie, I'm thanking God that we're starting to have it move forward a little bit. God, I want to pray. I want to pray against the situations where we pull each other down and we consent to the abuse and the tyranny. In Jesus' name, I want to stand in faith for deliverance. I want to stand in faith for the protection of the poor, the elderly, and the disabled, those that don't have the rights to housing or work. I want to stand in faith for those that are being pushed out in our society, whether it's somebody who's been separated from their identity documents, their warm winter clothing, or any number of things. People that are arrested and held only to have the charges dropped, months later. 3 months ago, it was warm enough to run around in a sweater or without a coat. Or in the summertime, a person would be running around in tank tops and flip-flops. They've dumped a number of people out on the streets without shoes from jails. You picture the situation that they're in. Both genders, and only a minor has the protection of being taken into social services, and that's not much when you consider who's running them. I apologize. I don't mean to be running my mouth, but I wanted to put this awareness in. And I guess I need to learn how to just dictate over it at a future recording. Y'all have a good day. God bless.